Alright, hi guys, I'm Tracy and welcome to today's video. So I'm way overdue for a brush follow-up video. So I used to do these all the time when I'll do like a follow-up to like a couple of brush hauls after I've been using the brushes and show you guys how I've been using them and what I think of them. So I'm not going to be able to do all of them because the video would be really long, but a couple of really I think very impressive brushes, and I think are worth going over. And then I'm kind of mixing in answering some of your guys' questions. So I have not a lot, but 4 questions here that I've been getting over some time, and I really apologize. I know some of you have asked me these things, you know, ages ago, but I did want to kind of like put it all in one because these are questions I feel like a lot of people would want to, you know, hear the answers of. So first off, let's start with the 2 foundation brushes that I got in my last CD Japan haul, and that is the Chikuhodo T3 foundation brush and the Bisyodo BFD1. So these are both very luxurious. If I remember, I'll link the haul video that I have down below, or I think I did a foundation brush video or haul, but anyhow, I was just talking about how amazing these feel and how wonderfully crafted they are. And I know these are dirty, so they're not going to look as pretty as they did, but that's because I've been using them. And something I want to note, this T3, I've been using it all week, and I've been kind of cleaning it between uses, and it cleans up pretty well, like surprisingly well, considering I'm using it with liquid foundations. And this one does as well. I just didn't take the time to clean it. But and I'll put B-roll in here. I'll talk about the Bisyodo foundation brush first. And this one really, it's not only really nice on the skin, but it also provides a very polished finish to your foundation. So it's not like a really heavy coverage. It's not a light coverage. It's just kind of right in between. But I don't feel like you have to do the extra step by, you know, buffing out the uneven parts or if there's streaks. I feel like, and as well as the T3, you're gonna get a really flawless finish right away. So I think these are pretty good at saving you time. And the T3 is just a different shape. I have been reaching for the T3 a little bit more, and you know, when I first got the T3, I thought this was going to be too small for foundation. I thought I was just going to use it for a blush or something, but it's actually a really nice shape, and I have, you know, a lot of face space, so I think this is just a really universal size for a foundation brush. And this one, yes, is bigger, but you really can't beat the combination of the aesthetics, the performance, and the way this feels when you're using it. Not just like having this luxurious handle, but the soft, you know, the soft bristles on your skin. It's really a pleasure to use, more so than the Hakuhodo S-5, which is a beautiful brush. But when I pat with those types of brushes, you are going to feel the pokes of the synthetic fibers. I mean, that's how it works. It kind of presses the product into your skin, and that's why you get that amazing coverage. And but I don't think these are good for patting because you're gonna ruin the brush. So for these, I would definitely swipe or buff, and I think you'll be good. And either one, you can't go wrong. You know, this one is going to be about half the price, and I think you're going to get an amazing result. And you know, if you want to splurge a little, I don't think you'll be disappointed with the Bisyodo. And another question I got a long time ago, so I really apologize. I know someone was asking if the Sonia Mini Cheek would be good for blush. And I have tried this many times for not just blush placement like in this little area, but also the blush look where you kind of go horizontal. And my conclusion is I don't like this brush for blush. I use this for highlighter because when you swipe across your nose, it gets stuck on the sides, at least with my features. So if I want to do that blush look where you kind of have blush across the face, across the nose, I prefer to use a tapered brush like this and kind of like concentrate it right there, not a domed brush. I don't like the results that I got with this. That's what I recommend if you're doing that type of blush look. I think something like this is much easier and comes out much better. But this is a good highlighter brush. I don't usually recommend this one, but I personally don't like applying blush with this shade. And I'm going to demo this. Is the Designer Pro versus Cheek Pro for blush. Now I have them right here, and I know a lot of people are wondering which ones are better, which one is better, and I'll show you guys the difference. I'm going to use the Patrick Ta, again, the Patrick Ta blush formula because it's very easy to pick up. So which one should I use? You know, I'm gonna just because I have a sort of like darker look today, I'm gonna use this blush right here. It's like the more like deeper plum shade. And these blushes are very, very easy to pick up, and they're very powdery. That's why I don't use them a whole lot. But this Cheek Pro, it pretty much works with most powder products. Even a baked gelée, this one will work really well. So that is how the Cheek Pro comes out. And I'm going to do that same one with the Designer Pro. I don't usually use this for blush, but I know a lot of people do. And it does come out much differently. This one is going to look a lot more like diffused and less defining. So I think if you're looking for like a more like flushed look with the blush kind of in a bigger area, I would go with something like this. And if you want it more concentrated like this, I would go for the Cheek Pro. But either one, I don't think you'll be disappointed. This one is more versatile, the Designer Pro, but I do feel like the Cheek Pro is very unique in that it has an amazing ability to provide a pretty strong blush look without looking, you know, not looking patchy. And it's also really good at buffing out a product if you put a little bit too much on. Not the case here, but you know, if you did want to kind of spread it out a little bit, this brush is really good at doing that without lifting your foundation. So I like either one, but I would say if I had to choose one just for blush, I would pick the Cheek Pro. But all around brush, I would say the Designer Pro. The Z1 versus the BP2. Now, I do like both of these. I pretty much use these for the final blend, like finishing powder, but they're also nice as bronzer brushes. So I'm going to do a little bit of both. This type of brush I think is good for like a little bit of a powdery formula like the LYS. I've been really liking this formula. I mean, I've always liked it. I just kind of forgot about it. So I'll use this one on this side because it's hard to overdo your bronzer with a brush like this. So this is good if you want like a bigger bronzer brush. I tend to favor a medium size, a little smaller one, but it works just as well as like the Z8. Just covers a larger space. And then the BP2, I really like this for finishing powder, but I also do like it for bronzer. And I think for me, because I like to kind of define with my bronzer, this one's better because I can turn it on its side. I'll show you how I'm doing that. So like I'll put a pretty decent amount and I'll go across the forehead like this because it's a nice size for my forehead. And then like I'll turn it on its side like this and bronze like this. And this one I also like to go like across the nose here. So that's kind of what you can expect. And I also do like both of these for finishing powder, so I'm going to do that really quick. You're not going to really see much of a difference between the two as far as the results go, but I would say the manner in which I use these are different. So I'll use the ambient lighting powder in dim light. And I do think this is a really good brush that picks this up pretty well. Not too much, but you know, just enough. And I buff with this one. So this is really good as your final step to kind of like smooth everything out, soften any like rough edges that you might have. I just use it a little differently. Right, so if I had to choose one for, I don't know, I think, you know what, if costs not being an issue, I would say the Z1, but this is a perfectly fine alternative, and you might not be getting as soft of, you know, bristles, but you get a more luxurious handle. And I believe this one is significantly more than the Bisyodo. Yeah, I'm pretty sure this has got to be probably at least $75 more. So you are paying more for a brush like this, but it's really up to you. You know, do you want the softer hairs or do you want the more luxurious handle? But they're both pretty good at bronzer, and they're both really good at the final blend for finishing powder. So those are my thoughts on these two, and I like both of them. I really do. Okay, and then I am going to put in B-roll of me using the newer eyeshadow brushes that I just did a haul for. And thank you, Jediah, for reminding me about, we had like a little online conversation about my Sakura brush, and she recommended this a while ago and I forgot, so I forgot to give her credit, but she did say this is a good alternative if you want to get a larger Chikuhodo GSN 9, if you want something a little bigger. Actually, all three of these brushes, the Koyudo P4, the Eihodo Koyudo P4 is this mixed hair brush, the Eihodo S-5, and this is Gray Squirrel, and the Murashige Sangyo MS4. So I did a really close-up view of these. I used just these brushes to do my eye look today, and it worked out great. So the best one I think to blend is the Koyudo P4, and I feel like this one is kind of comparable to the Hakuhodo GS2. So I kind of feel like this one is an alternative to the Hakuhodo GS2 because they're very similar in shape and size, and they're both good at blending and packing shimmer and pretty much lining everything. You can do an entire look with either one of these. But if I had to recommend one, I still would recommend the Hakuhodo because you're getting a much more luxurious handle. You're getting Canadian Squirrel, which is not very common. You don't really see this hair. I mean, you don't see this mix much either. But I think I believe the Hakuhodo is a little less expensive. So putting those things into consideration, I recommend the Hakuhodo. But if you're into very small, compact brushes, then it doesn't get any smaller than this. And the same with the Eihodo. It's going to be, and I know Jediah said this is pretty much a dupe for the Chikuhodo GSN9 because they're the same maker. Chikuhodo makes Eihodo brushes. So it's, but of course the handle is about half the length of a GSN brush. But I would say of the three here that I got, I'm most impressed with the performance of the Koyudo because it's the most, it's the thickest brush and it's more versatile. You know, these are pretty much good for packing shimmer and they do that really well, but this does that as well as blend and line. I mean, I guess you can use this one to line. You can probably use this one to line very well, the Sakuda brush, but I just haven't had a chance to use it for that. But I'll put B-roll of all of these and I really do like all of them. So I was gonna put highlighter on. Oh yeah. The Wayne Goss Artiste brush, I did do my under eye powdering and it worked fine for that. So if you're someone that really likes a very, very delicate application of powder, this would work, but I kind of like powdering this area pretty well. So for me, I'm probably not going to use this for powdering, but I wanted to try it for highlighter. I did hear it's amazing for that. And this is probably the finest point that I have as far as a face brush goes. And I do like holding this brush. I do feel very artistic, like the name says. I do feel very, you know, fancy using this for my makeup. Yeah, and it does that beautifully. So I do think if you're looking at this Wayne Goss artist brush, it's not one of those like necessary brushes, but it's more, I think, for the experience. I do like the way it feels and I love the aesthetic of this brush. So in that sense, it's worth it. But it's very unique. I'm not really sure how I feel about this super tapered brush, but I am glad I have it. But I don't know if it's because of the hairs or because of the handle. I think it might be more the handle that I'm liking. So yeah, it does highlighter, but I don't think you need a brush like this to get that result. I think a lot of brushes I have will do the same thing. I think that's gonna do it for today. So thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you all next time. Bye.